Hello YouTube, this is Chris Mallet, and over the coming months we're going to take a trip on a combat mission play-by-email game that I had against Bletchley Geek from the Battlefront forums. The map we are playing on is 163 Probe Large Agricultural in Combat Mission Fortress Italy. The combat force is set to infantry only, with human purchase allowed. And the attacker is a random allied versus a defender of random axis. The battle type is set to attack, the battle size is medium, the length of battle is 2 hours, and we used automatic map selection. The size is large, environment is village, region is Italy. The year is 1943 in November, and the weather is night with light snow and light snow ground condition, with loose rarity, although I don't think that makes much of a difference. As you can see from the photos you're watching, we have 5 victory locations that we need to contest, of which I prepared a defense in front of 3 of them. This video footage here shows my preparations on the left-hand side of the map. I set up a barbed wire entrenchment in front of the position, hopefully at the edge of the view range, although you'll see in the battle that that was a planning mistake on my part. My forces are a single battalion of Fusilier 43B. I chose this simply because I think the mix of small arms in the Fusilier battalion is a little bit more advantageous for these types of conditions. As you can see, I strung a long string of barbed wire out in front of the victory location itself, backed up by infantry teams entrenched behind small walls. Not entrenched, but positions behind low walls as the only real hard cover. And the victory location itself is fronted by an orchard that runs all the way up to the edge of it, with open ground on both sides. And you can see here a platoon of Fusiliers spread out around the victory location itself, with the platoon leader inside the building. And behind it, you can see a second platoon strung out in teams, providing backup. On either flank are 2 machine guns positioned from the battalion machine gun section, and the machine gun section HQ itself is also part of the second line. The dead zone in front of the center objective is protected by a string of anti-personnel landmines located in the trees in front of it, and there is also a string of barbed wire intended to prevent the enemy from moving through this area of woods into the objective itself. So any approach by the enemy towards this objective here would be forced to use the open ground to the left or to the right, which would put them under the muzzles of 2 heavy machine gun teams. As you can see, inside the woods itself, anti-personnel mines are strung across the woods, and the barbed wire itself edges right up to the backside of that small shack, and there are no doors in this side of the shack at all, forcing the enemy to use the open ground to the side. The only force I have on this objective itself is a section HQ with 2 machine guns under his command. It's not really intended to fight and retain this objective, more to simply slow the enemy down if they do attempt to capture it. One final note is that all objectives on the map have a target reference point situated in the center of it, allowing me to quickly and accurately call artillery fire from my supporting weapons and off-map assets to any location that the enemy has secured. As you can see, I have more areas of landmines situated in dead ground in front of my defense, so if the enemy tries to use these areas to infiltrate into my defensive positions through locations that I cannot see, they'll run into landmines and be slowed down and give me warning of their approach. My final Fusilier platoon is strung out behind the objectives on a section of road behind a low wall. The company commander is the only one holding that objective to the side. And then I have several mortar sections which I decided to have on map as a handy infantry reserve, as well as providing direct fire from mortars. The final objective on the far right, this is my right, the enemy's left. The edge of the map is protected by a barbed wire strand that leads directly into the objective, forcing the enemy to move into the objective instead of trying to flank around it using the map edge. And they are confronted by several HQ teams, including the battalion commander, whom you might recognize. There is also a mortar section nearby that can be used as ad hoc infantry if necessary, with plenty of supporting weapons around. But given that the approach route to this objective is mostly open ground, I do not expect the enemy to make any significant attack on this flank. That being said, I do have 2 machine gun teams positioned behind low walls commanding the open ground in front of their own locations. And in the trees to the bottom of the image, there are selected areas where I've placed anti-personnel minefields to control the dead ground. The platoon of Fusiliers in the center of the image is a mobile reserve. They have no particular duties at this time. They're simply there to react to any movement that the enemy makes. The forward objective here only has a couple of heavy machine gun teams in it. I'm not expecting to fight for it and keep it. In fact, that's the one position I can allow the enemy to take, given all the supporting weapons I have surrounding that objective that can easily control the open ground around it and prevent the enemy from moving out of it in any direction. The open ground to the right and left of the objective is similarly controlled by heavy machine gun teams and mortar teams. As we move over here to the enemy's right and to my left, these 2 objectives are very close together, so I wanted to put up a very strong defense and prevent the enemy from capturing both of them by launching an attack using the orchard as cover to head up the hill. To that end, I have 2 platoons positioned here along with supporting machine gun teams, and both of these terrain objectives have target reference points installed. And the open ground to the right and to the left is controlled by heavy machine guns and other infantry teams, thus making an approach up them rather suicidal. And of course, the barbed wire in front of this position, I used the majority of it here, specifically because I didn't want the enemy to come straight through the orchard and into the objective. They're forced to either blow the barbed wire and warn me of their approach, or they have to skirt around it. I also have a single Opel Blitz supply truck in the back for use as ammo resupply if necessary. The duration of this battle is 2 hours. I'm not expecting it to be over quickly, so I wanted to have a ready source of submachine gun ammo and rifle ammo if necessary. Other than that, this is the layout of my force. The enemy is of unknown strength and is coming in down one of 2 approach routes, which I've already prepared with fixed defenses. Other than that, Bletchley Geek has told me he's willing to give some commentary on this as well, so we'll see how well my Fusilier battalion does against his own troops. Other than that, this is going to be a project that's going to take several months. I'm going to work on a small piece of it at a time, kind of more Jonesy FGM style rather than Josie Wales style, where it's not going to be all at once. We're just going to go a few turns and then carry on from there. Okay, bye.